Welcome to Real Numismatic, where every coin has a story, and every claim is backed by facts. Today, we're looking at a coin that represents one of the most important moments in modern American coinage, the 1971 Eisenhower Dollar. At first glance, this large dollar may look like an ordinary old coin, but its history connects a former president, the United States Mint, the Apollo 11 moon landing, and the return of the dollar coin after a decades-long absence. And the most interesting part is that while millions were produced, truly exceptional examples can become surprisingly difficult to find. So before you spend, sell, or dismiss a 1971 Eisenhower dollar, let's take a closer look at what this coin really is, what makes it collectible, and what your example may actually be worth. The coin in today's photographs is dated 1971, making it the very first year of the Eisenhower Dollar series. The obverse carries a left-facing portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, with liberty above, in God we trust to the left, and the date 1971 below. On the reverse, we see one of the most recognizable designs in modern American numismatics, an eagle descending toward the lunar surface while holding an olive branch. Above it are United States of America and E pluribus unum, with $1 below. This was not simply decorative artwork. The reverse was specifically designed to honor the Apollo 11 mission and America's achievement of landing humans on the moon. The U.S. Mint identifies Frank Gasparro as the designer of the coin, while the reverse was based on the Apollo 11 mission insignia designed by astronaut Michael Collins. The story behind this coin actually begins before 1971. The United States had not produced a circulating dollar coin since the peace dollar era ended in 1935. Then, following the death of Dwight D. Eisenhower in March 1969, public requests for a coin honoring the former president increased dramatically. Eisenhower had been both a celebrated military commander and the 34th president of the United States, so placing his portrait on a new dollar had enormous symbolic importance. On December 31, 1970, President Richard Nixon signed legislation authorizing the Eisenhower Dollar. The U.S. Mint described it as the first dollar coin produced since 1935 and the first U.S. dollar coin authorized to carry a president's portrait. There was another major issue surrounding the new dollar: silver. The United States was moving away from silver in circulating coinage, but Congress authorized two different versions of the Eisenhower dollar. Circulating dollars were made from copper-nickel clad metal, while special collector versions were produced with a 40% silver composition. The 1971 circulation issues from Philadelphia and Denver were therefore not silver dollars. They were made from an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel over a pure copper core. Silver-clad collector versions were struck at San Francisco. This distinction is extremely important because simply seeing a 1971 date does not mean a coin contains silver. The coin shown here has the characteristics of a large copper-nickel clad Eisenhower dollar. The standard specifications are approximately 38.5 millimeters in diameter and 20.7 grams in weight, with a reeded edge. It is dramatically larger than the modern dollar coins most Americans are familiar with today. That size was part of the Eisenhower dollar's identity, but it also created challenges for production and preservation. The large planchet provided a huge surface area where contact marks, scratches, and other imperfections could become very noticeable. Now let's examine the specific coin in the photographs. On the obverse, Eisenhower's portrait remains clearly recognizable, but there is extensive circulation wear across the high points and surrounding fields. The hair, cheek, jaw, and other raised portions have lost much of their original detail. There are also numerous surface marks and areas of discoloration. On the reverse, the eagle, lunar surface, and lettering are still visible, but the coin has clearly experienced significant circulation. The surfaces show scratches, contact marks, and general wear consistent with an older circulated example. From these photographs alone, I would not assign an exact numerical grade because professional grading requires much more controlled examination, including proper lighting, magnification, and evaluation of the entire coin. One detail deserves special attention: the mint mark. On the supplied obverse image, I do not see a clearly identifiable mint mark. A 1971 Eisenhower dollar without a mint mark is associated with the Philadelphia Mint, while Denver coins carry a D. But because the coin is heavily worn and the photograph is not a professional grading image, I would not claim absolute certainty from the photograph alone. If the coin is confirmed as a Philadelphia issue, Its reported mintage was 47,799,000 pieces. The 1971D Denver issue had a significantly larger mintage of 68,587,424, and this is where the story gets interesting. A large mintage does not automatically mean every example is easy to find in every condition. The Philadelphia 1971 Eisenhower Dollar has developed a reputation among collectors for being difficult to locate in truly high-grade condition. PCGS notes that the typical certified examples fall around the Ms. 64 and Ms. 65 range, while very high-grade coins are much scarcer. The large clad planchets were not particularly forgiving, and marks or planchet chatter can prevent an otherwise attractive coin from reaching the highest grades. This is one of the most important lessons for anyone searching through old dollar coins. Condition can matter more than age. A worn 1971 Eisenhower dollar is historically important, but it is not automatically a rare or extremely valuable coin. A virtually flawless 1971 example is a completely different proposition. PCGS currently lists the regular Philadelphia issue as reaching Ms. 67 in its certified population, and its auction records demonstrate how dramatically prices can increase for exceptional certified examples. One PCGS Ms. 66 plus example bought $10,281 at a Stack's Bowers auction in 2014. That is an auction record for a very high-grade coin. Not a normal value for an ordinary circulated example. The Denver issue tells a similar story. The 1971D had a much larger mintage, but high-grade examples can still command strong premiums. PCGS records a 1971D Ms. 67 plus Eisenhower Dollar selling for $10,200 at heritage auctions in January 2023. Again, this number should never be used to claim that every 1971D dollar is worth thousands. It illustrates the enormous difference between a heavily circulated coin and an exceptionally preserved, professionally certified condition rarity. There is also a fascinating 1971D variety known as the Friendly Eagle. PCGS identifies it as FS901, or Type 1 Reverse RDV06. The variety is associated with a distinctive appearance of the eagle on the reverse, including the lack of an eyebrow that gives the eagle its famous friendly expression. PCGS notes that only a portion of the 1971D production is believed to represent this variety, making it a particularly interesting target for collectors. But there is an important point for today's coin. Because the photographed coin does not clearly show a demint mark, we should not call it a Friendly Eagle simply because the reverse looks unusual. Proper variety attribution requires the correct mint and specific diagnostic features taught ESO. What about the value of the coin shown here? This is where honesty matters. The photographs show a well-circulated 1971 Eisenhower dollar, and nothing visible in the images establishes a major recognized mint error or an exceptionally rare variety. Current PCGS price guide data for the broader clad Eisenhower Dollar series shows ordinary circulated examples generally carrying only a modest premium, while certified high-grade pieces can rise substantially. NGC's current guide for another common Eisenhower issue also illustrates how strongly condition affects pricing across the series for this particular photographed coin. I would not advertise it as a $1,000 or $10,000 coin. Its realistic collector interest comes primarily from its first-year status, historical significance, and the possibility of confirming the exact mint and variety. If you want an accurate market valuation, the next step would be confirming the mint mark, checking the weight with a precise scale, examining the edge, and comparing the coin against recognized varieties. If there is any suspicion of an unusual error, professional examination would be appropriate before assigning a premium value. Another misconception worth clearing up is the idea that every 1971 Eisenhower dollar contains silver. It does not. The Philadelphia and Denver circulation coins were copper-nickel clad. San Francisco produced the special silver clad collector pieces. The 1971 silver Eisenhower dollar had a reported mintage of 4,265,134 for the Type 1 silver proof issue, making mint identification especially important when determining composition and value. The Eisenhower dollar also has a fascinating place in the history of American technology and space exploration. The reverse captures a moment when the United States was celebrating an achievement that seemed almost impossible only a generation earlier. The eagle, the lunar surface, and the olive branch combine national symbolism with the imagery of Apollo 11. In that sense, this coin is more than a dollar denomination. It is a small metallic record of the space race and the enormous cultural impact of the first moon landing. If you own a 1971 Eisenhower dollar, the best advice is simple: don't clean it. Cleaning can leave hairlines, unnatural surfaces, and other permanent damage that can reduce collector appeal. Instead, handle it by the edges, keep it in a proper inert holder, and avoid harsh chemicals or abrasive materials. And if your coin appears unusually sharp, lustrous, or free from marks, that's when a closer examination becomes worthwhile. High-grade Eisenhower dollars can be surprisingly difficult to locate because these huge clad surfaces reveal even minor imperfections. Ultimately, the 1971 Eisenhower dollar is a perfect example of why numismatics is about much more than simply asking, "How old is this coin?" The date tells us this was the first year of the series, but the mint mark, composition, condition, variety, and authenticity determine how collectors evaluate the individual piece. The coin in our photographs is unquestionably interesting and historically significant, but based strictly on what can be seen, there is no responsible reason to call it an extremely rare error or a fortune in disguise. The real treasure is understanding exactly what you have and knowing which details can transform an ordinary-looking dollar into a serious collectible. If you enjoyed this deep look at the 1971 Eisenhower dollar, make sure to like this video, share it with fellow coin collectors, and subscribe to Real Numismatic for more fact-checked stories, rare coin discoveries, varieties, mint errors, and honest market analysis. And if you have a 1971 Eisenhower dollar of your own, take a close look at that mint mark and condition. You may have a much more interesting coin than you first realized. Thanks for watching Real Numismatic, and I'll see you in the next coin story.